put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday, the 4th of April, 2023. It's a beautiful morning, and we're coming to you live from the 3rd floor Port Mall, Lower Scarborough, in beautiful Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago. I am Ria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will certainly rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago, good morning Trinidad, good morning those of you viewing us in the Caribbean, and those of you on the live M&E TV Gael, whether you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Really happy to be in your company today. Julian is not with us. He's well. Just a lot happening, work-related, so he's going to be out for today. But Julian, we trust that wherever you are, that you will remain safe. Thank you so much for the shout-outs yesterday, Julian, Skeet. And I must admit, yes, my weekend had something to do, or the loss of voice had something to do with my weekend. I must admit, it was a wonderful experience in His Presence 10, my first ever in His Presence 10. Believe it or not, yes, first in 10 years, but I don't regret it one bit. It was indeed enjoyable. It was worth every moment of it. So I want to send a shout out this morning to Vern Joseph and Dominion Promotions. Good morning to the entire team. We know that, there must have been a lot happening in the background, but God came through for you at the end of it all. So thank you so much. Lots of interesting things happening on the program today, viewers, and we're pretty excited. We're going to share some of what's been going on with you in just a little bit, but we have birthday celebrations coming up. We've got news in 90 seconds and some information to share with you as well. So this time we're going to head on over into news in 90 seconds with not with Chanel. Yes, not at all with Chanel. So I guess we can afford to head on into our birthday celebrations. Let's do those birthday celebrations at this time. All right, and this is my very good friend here, a son of East Charlottesville, Alex Brown, celebrating his birthday today. Alex Brown celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday going out to you today, Alex Brown. I was a little early yesterday with my greetings, but we got it right today. Happy birthday going out to you this morning, Alex Brown. And we've got Nicole Sobers. Miss Nicole, happy birthday going out to you today. Trust that you have a great one today, and do enjoy, and lots of love from all of us here at Tobago Updates. And this is Nikisha Chelsea Bibi celebrating her birthday. Happy birthday. She was one of my very first students when I started my teaching career many years ago. Happy birthday going out to Nikisha Chelsea Bibi. And this is Jason Kenrick Noel. I tell you, fine style. This gentleman loves fine style. Happy birthday going out to you, and lots of love, much love. I'll get my cake and ice cream another day. Thank you. Trust that you have a really great one. I tell you, fine style. Fine style, the outfits, the poses. Trust that you have a really great one today. And that's it for birthday celebrations this morning. Just to share a little bit about what's coming up on the program. Share a little bit about what's coming up on the program this morning. We're going to be chatting with Barry Lovelace, who is the Marine Park Manager attached to the Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries. And he's going to chat with us on the Bucca Reef Marine Park guidelines. We are within the Easter season, Easter vacation, and as a result of that, we've got a lot of visitors coming. So we need to be aware of what are some of the do's and don'ts and some of the guidelines that we need to adhere to with regards to protection of the Bucca Reef Marine Park. As well, coming up on the program, we will be chatting with Sophia Cooper, who is going to chat with us on the Assembly Legislature's Night of Mystery Tour. I don't know how else to say it when you think of mystery, okay? And that's coming up on the program this morning. And then we're going to be switching a little bit here to jazz. So we're going to be chatting with Tony Paul, who is a jazz musician, and we're gonna have a nice one-on-one with Tony Paul with regards to the Tobago Jazz Festival for 2023. So I tell you, viewers, it's quite an interesting, quite a packed program, and of course we want to connect with some of our viewers on the live in just a little bit, but we're gonna head on over at this time into news in 90 seconds with Chanel.
Thank you so much, Ria. And here is your news in 90 seconds for the 4th of April, 2023. One woman is threatening a lawsuit to the Tobago Regional Health Authority for a botched surgery at the Scarborough General Hospital. According to her attorney, the 23-year-old Tamika Joseph went to the hospital in 2022 to remove a keloid from her ear, but the surgery went wrong. Joseph was left with burns and exposed cartilage on her ears. Since the incident, Joseph has been riddled with pain and was forced to seek corrective surgery at a private institution in Trinidad. She is suing the TRHA for medical negligence and assault and is seeking compensation for her private medical treatment, including travel expenses. The TRHA has 21 days to respond to the pre-action protocol letter. Additionally, two Tobago brothers won gold medal at the 2023 ISSA Grace Kennedy Jamaica Boy and Girls Championship in Kingston, Jamaica over the weekend. LeBron James beat out his competition in the boys' 16-19 javelin competition, while his brother Jadi James was victorious in the boys' 14-15 high jump competition. Both brothers are former students of Signan Hill Secondary School. And finally, despite concerns, Mr. Vijay Jaspasad, Permanent Secretary in the Prime Minister's office, stated that all staff members accused in the children's home in the Judith Jones report are either deceased or retired. He was speaking at a virtual briefing yesterday. However, Janji Prasad did not specify whether the individuals named in the report were referred to the police or faced any consequences for their action during their time being alive. The Jones report details sexual abuse and beating of children at several homes across Trinidad and Tobago, perpetrated by staff members, security guards, and other children. It was laid in Parliament by the Minister in the Office of the Ministry of the Prime Minister, Ayana Webster Roy. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Back to you, Ria.
Thank you so much there, Chanel. Thank you so much there for the news in 90 seconds. And just connecting with some of our viewers on the live this morning, we see that we have another birthday today, and that is Pearl Murray Baird, who is one of our avid viewers from day one. Happy birthday going out to you, and God's continued blessings upon your life, and lots of love from all of us here at Tobago Updates. And we trust that you have a really great one. Good morning to Wayne Clark. Auntie Dora Lyons, good morning, good morning. Maximilian Anderson, good morning to you. June James Abraham, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you joining us on the live this morning. And like we said, we've got quite an interesting program lineup for you today, and we trust that you're going to log on with us, join us here on M&E TV. You've got us here on Gael, Facebook, and YouTube. All right, so we continue to link with you and enjoy your company. And of course, feel free to comment on our interviews as we continue on through the morning. Well, viewers, we are going to be switching things. We want to encourage you this morning, even as we take a break and we come back with our first guest on the program, who would be our first guest on the program, who would be Mr. Barry Loveless. We want to encourage you this morning, viewers, to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Designing solutions to preserve Tobago's coastline. The Coastal Zone Management Unit has earmarked several sites to action, including Buku Bay, Sandy Point, Swallows, Pigeon Point and Kendall Bay. Manager of the engineering unit of the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Atiba Martin, explained, though in the infancy stage, the department is resolute in its plans to save Tobago's coastline.
We recently, last week, received the inception report from Smith Warner International, where the consultants looking into the upgrade of the Milford Bay Pigeon Point rehabilitation, all that, coastal erosion issues that they have down there. And just briefly, it's still in the infancy stages, but briefly I could say that one of the findings coming out of that study was that a lot of the infrastructure that we put there were poorly done, or they're not suitable. So some of the choices that we made, yes.
However, Mr. Martin revealed some short-term plans the unit has embarked on to stabilize the beachfront.
Part of the intervention going forward is to do some beach vegetations, a little thing called a vegetated sand dune to help boost the sand stock that we have down there that we currently losing. But definitely, a lot of the problems were encountered because the infrastructure was poor, and we're talking about the breakwaters and the groins and what have you were poorly selected. So we have some improvements to make there.
Mr. Martin admitted that a number of current stabilization structures have outlived its design life, which typically lasts 50 years and is due for replacement. The Coastal Zone Management Unit was formed in March 2018 and is responsible for conducting coastal zone risk assessment with a view to providing updated qualitative and quantitative data on risk in the coastal zone of Tobago.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates morning show. We are chatting this morning with Mr. Barry Lovelace, who's the Marine Park Manager attached to the Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries. And this morning, our focus is on the Book Reef Marine Park Guidelines, among other things. Barry, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Ria. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Always, always. Now, Barry, we are getting into the vacation period. It's Easter. Yeah. We've got a lot of visitors coming to the island. In fact, a lot of locals who are relaxing with nowhere else to go would utilize our natural resources.
Yes.
So we're looking at the Book Reef Marine Park, and there's some guidelines. Of course, we want to protect what we own at the end of the day. Right. So what should we be mindful of?
Well, the last time I was here, that was the carnival period, another peak season, and came on. I didn't get a chance. We ended up talking about so many things. I didn't get a chance to read the guidelines. So let me start off with that this morning. Right? Well, of course, as I would have said the last time, the fundamental law that protects that applies to the Book Reef Marine Park is the Marine Areas Act, right? And that. It's an old act, 1970, right? But I just want to read an excerpt from it, right? Right, all users are required to have a permit to access the marine protected area pursuant of Regulation 3 of the Act's subsidiary legislation, which indicates, and this is the substantive part here, except with the permission, the written permission of the minister or the person duly authorized by him, right? And in our case, it would be the division responsible for marine resources, right? In Tobago, or that secretary, or that line, right? Right, authorized by him in writing to grant such permission, no person shall go in or alight upon a restricted area, right? Operate a boat or other vessel within the restricted area, or cause or allow a boat or other vessel to enter such an area. Part C, take or remove any fish or bird from the restricted area. Take or remove any mangrove from the restricted area, or dig, dredge, or otherwise interfere with any seabed of a restricted area. So those are the you know, what's there in law. Of course, it's an old law and would need updating and so on. And I even think right now, well, there are other laws that pertain to it, right? Pertain to that apply to the management of that sea space, right? And some are incidental. We even have the Fisheries Management Act that is now before the Joint Select Committee, and so that might even impact on on this legislation and so on. But in terms of how we manage, right? And when I say we, I'm here talking about the Marine Area Unit, right? Which is a part of the Department of the Marine Resources and Fisheries, right? We are, well, we have the remit to manage that space, right? That legal space is delineated by law, the boundaries, right? And so we try to cooperate with other law enforcement entities, such as the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we have the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, we have Maritime Services Division. All of those persons have a certain level of authority that can, you know, help us and so coming up this Easter, that is indeed the case, where we'll be having joint patrols of the marine space. All right?
Let me ask you something. As far as you are aware, anyone in breach of this law, of this act, what would be the outcome?
All right.
And you did mention here that this is a very old, very archaic law.
1970.
Yeah, 1970s, let me say, ain't that old, because you know, you imply But let me just...
It really needs updating, right? The penalties, I think the strongest penalty for breach of the law in particular that is enshrined in the law there is, I think, $1,000 fine. However, granted that, you know, you have to be authorized to be on the reef, right? We have that, there's that power now to restrict permission to operate on the reef. So there's that power as well, right? Then you have the police have their usual, you know, authority, right? And the Coast Guard as well, right? So we'll be relying on those authorities as well to help enforce, you know, order and safety on the reef.
Now, who should have that permit? Because we have reef tour operators as well. So who should be in possession of that permit?
Well, yes, any user of the reef, right? So it would apply to the tour boats, the reef tour operators, right? It will apply to water sport operators. If a fishing vessel, which is not supposed to really be on the reef, but if they wish to transit the reef for logistical purpose, right? There's a transit permit that you ought to get. Jet skis, again, those are not allowed on the reef within the protected area, but they are allowed to transit, right? That mapped channels that it allow for, and so you need a transit permit again, right? But they're okay. That was in 2018 thereabouts, right? The Executive Council would have passed Marine Park, Boku Reef Marine Park user policy, which stipulates even further than this law, right? What is allowed, what is not allowed, and even the permit system, right? How you go about accessing the permit system, what is required. The boat's supposed to be registered. It's supposed to be checked out by a maritime surveyor, right? In terms of determining what is the carrying capacity of the boat, right? And that carrying capacity is supposed to be marked clearly on the boat so that passengers can know. And of course, this is part of why we are trying to make the public aware, right? If you go to the reef, look out for that. Look, you're boarding a vessel, check out to see how much this boat is supposed to carry, right? And if it's going over that, you know, you say something.
And that should be your responsibility as a patron.
Exactly. And so the public has a responsibility as well to make sure that things happen properly on the reef, that is protected, well, that we continue to enjoy it, all of us, and our upcoming generations, that they would be able to enjoy it as well.
Go ahead, you were about to say.
Well, and one thing I wanted to highlight, right? In terms, I know it's a challenge, the management of the park has been a challenge over the years.
We would assume.
Yes, it has been a challenge over the years. But, I mean, I'm new there now, and try my best. But one thing I want to emphasize while I'm there is that if you were to look at it, anywhere you go and you see a successful marine park,
Right.
one of the fundamental things that they have going is proper stakeholder engagement. Right? That is a key to any successful management plan for a marine park.
And
right?
who are those stakeholders?
Right. Well, there are many. Right. Of course, the obvious ones are the boat operators and owners. You have the water sports folks, the jet skis and so on, who may want to use the area. You have the general users, the bathers and the visitors and so on. Then within the whole tourism sector, right, you have persons that would be interested there. Then you have, on the conservation side, you have the NGOs, of which there are several on the island. Protecting and interested in that, in preserving the biological character of that. You also have within government, right? Myself, the administrator, the secretaries, and so on. So there's a wide, the divers, dive association, fishermen, because as you may know, the reef, that the Bonacord lagoon that is within the protected area there, that serves as a major nursery for a lot of fish, right? Not only reef fish, but even commercial species that we enjoy often, right? So if that is impaired, right, it would affect the fisheries. So you have a host of stakeholders. And what we are seeking to do at this stage is to identify as wide as possible these stakeholders, right, within a sort of stakeholder inventory. And the proposal is for the revitalization of the Book Reef Management Committee eventually. Now, in 2005, thereabouts, right, there was such a committee that was formed, and that was formed in anticipation of the EMA. They had proposed to declare that protected area as an environmentally sensitive area. And as such, in response to that, we would have formed what was called the Book Reef Management Committee. And of course, it was made up of various stakeholders and so on, a small group, but, and well, for whatever reason, it disintegrated, as well as the passage of that environmentally sensitive law, right? It never came to fruition. And it's still there on the tables for discussion and for moving forward and so on.
And you're hoping to see that happen.
Right, and there's now a kind of revitalization of that discussion. And so too, we want to revitalize the Book Reef Management Committee. So discussions are for that. Of course, dealing with people, well, I've learned in my environmental career that the hardest part of environmental management is people management. That's the most challenging part, but it has to be done if we are to succeed in in terms of protecting the area and having it operate as it ought to.
Now, and this is about education as well, how do you get not only Tobagonians, because when we are invested in our own, there's buy-in. I mean, we tend to appreciate what we have, but how do you get persons to understand the importance of protecting, the importance of putting the garbage in the bin and not on the sand, not allowing it to go to sea? How do we begin to change that? It seems as though when we are at home in Trinidad and Tobago, we do what we want, but we visit other places. We know what to do. We follow the rules.
Well, maybe it is that outside is better at public awareness than we are. So when we watch the television and we watch the shows, and so we see a particular kind of behavior. But
we fall in line with.
Yeah, that we know when we go out there, we have to fall in line with. Right? So, but I mean, so it has a lot to do with public awareness and education, and even engagement at the schools and so on. Well, within the NGO sector, we try to do a lot. We try to do a lot of engagement with students, and so fashioning their minds in terms of changing the behaviors, right? So such that things like in terms of garbage disposal and so on, we become more conscious of. And so even this is part of the process, educating as to what are the do's and don'ts on the reef. right?
Most definitely, most definitely. And I like what you said there. It starts with education. It starts with the NGOs taking it up, having those school projects and those school drives.
Yeah.
From preschool all the way up,
Yes,
and
yes,
maybe in
yes.
the workplace as well, because we see some adults doing it, and we see children who would have been taught differently or taught better, saying, "No, mommy, you really shouldn't put that there. Mommy, you can't throw. Daddy, you can't do." So the education.
Yes, yes, yes. And well, I'm not sure if it's premature to mention, right? But World Ocean Day is coming up in June 8th.
Not premature at
Right.
all. I think we need to start. We need
Yes.
to continue the discussion.
But you must
yes.
invite me back for that specifically, right?
Definitely.
Because there's a lot to discuss there. But we really plan a suite of activities, public awareness activities in lead up to that event, that commemoration of World Ocean Day. And of that same week, I think, is World Environment Day, which is related.
Yes.
Right? So we are planning a lot of activities, right? And as I mentioned, the revitalization of the Boku Reef Management Committee is one such thing that we'd want to get at a certain point that we can come and report as to what is happening with that committee and where things are going in terms of our plans to, manage the area there.
All right.
And just one word on that, right? Because this, me being here is also an appeal to the policymakers, right? Because they also they are major stakeholders.
They have your ear, or
Right?
you have their ear.
Yeah. Right? And so at that macro level, the executive council level, I think there needs to be a serious discussion as it pertains to what is intended for the Boku Reef Marine Park. What is the real strategy that we will intend for that area, right? Because as you know, it's a flagship. You could say it's a flagship tourism product.
Yes.
Right?
It
so the policymakers that are responsible for tourism needs to be in that discussion. But also, there are serious conservation objectives that we have to meet as well, being a protected a marine park. Right? We have to preserve the biological character of the area and so on. So there are conservation objectives. And oftentimes, these two objectives may compete.
Right.
Or there might be some tension between, for example, a practical example, right? Now, the advisory suggests that there shouldn't be any parties on the reef, any alcohol drinking, and so on and so on, right? That's within the protected area, the delineated area, right, that we have management of. But the boats leave from Store Bay, they leave from Pigeon Point, they leave from Gibson's Jetty, which is outside of the protected area. We have no jurisdiction there, right? But then stakeholders within the tourism operator
Go ahead, Barry. Go ahead.
Maybe promoting a particular kind of visit to the reef,
event,
which is in breach of the conservation objectives and so on, right? And so you have that kind of tension. So even at the macro level, there needs to be a discussion as to what do we really intend for this space? How do we intend the kind of tourism that we wish to promote and get into? What is it? Is it the party type or?
Do we still not know? Do we still not know after all of this time?
I hear that we are into ecotourism and so, but sometimes what the eye see and the ear hear not in line. So this is the kind of harmony
we're looking for.
Yeah, that is the kind of harmony that we think needs to happen, and it has to happen at a macro level. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
The island has to know what is the plan, right?
Yes.
And then once we know what that strategy is, then we can go about putting the infrastructure and the institutions in place to make that plan happen. And so I'm appealing to the Executive Council, the Chief Secretary, the Line Secretary with responsibility for tourism, the Line Secretary with the responsibility for marine resources.
Yes.
To have that conversation with whoever the decision makers are, the administrators and whoever technocrats and so on. Have that discussion and let us really make a go at fixing the marine park, that Boku Reef Marine Park, once and for all. Well, probably not once and for all, but let's do
Get
better
on
than we have
board.
done.
That's right. Get on
do
board.
better than we have done in the past, right?
Most definitely, most definitely. And I hear what you're saying here, Barry, having all the stakeholders on board, on the same page, so that we know the direction in which we're heading. And again, this is an appeal to all persons living in Tobago. This is our land. This island belongs to us. We are the ones who've got to protect it. So we see visitors and we see persons doing things, and we need to stop and say, no, you need to pick it up. You need to take authority. This is your land. This is not yours. This is our land. Okay? Yes, it's ours. We need to have that buy-in. But Barry, thank you very much for being on the program with us this morning.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and we're going to see you back again in June.
Yes.
Most
So to
definitely.
promote those suite of activities that we plan to engage the public in.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Yes.
Thank you again. Thank you again. Viewers, lots more coming up this morning on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We want to send as well good morning to Selma Lashley, Alicia Devines, Mikkel Lewis, good morning. Marilyn Spence, Joe Field, a pleasure indeed. We've got Josephine Solomon. Your reward is great in heaven. Good morning to you. And good morning to all of you. Let's go to heaven. Trinbago, good morning to you as well. Well, viewers, lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Coming up next, we will be chatting with Sophia Cooper, Special Programs Coordinator attached to the Assembly Legislature. She's going to tell us more about what they've got coming up. And I don't know why my voice changes even as I introduce her. But she's going to chat with us a little bit more on that just after the break. So viewers, share the live, share the live, share the live.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. October will never be better with Tobago Carnival fever. Book your passage and come on over.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.
Good morning again, viewers, and welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Just before we chat with our guest on the program, I see Julia Brown is asking. She says, Ria, good morning. I've missed the start of the show. Is Julian okay? He is well. It is well. He's just away for the day on business. So he is well. All is well. Okay? So just putting it out there for viewers who are looking out for their boy Julian. It's your boy Julian. So this morning, viewers, we're chatting with Sophia Cooper, who's a special programs coordinator for the Assembly Legislature, and it's all about the Assembly Legislature's Night of Mystery Tour. I had to
It's
change
the voice for me. It is the voice for me. Good morning, Ria.
Good morning and welcome, Sophia. I couldn't help but change the tone just to mention the topic.
I understand, you know. I understand. Because we do tours throughout the year. So a number of people, schools, groups,
Yes.
even from Trinidad, we'd have calls for groups to come across, and we do them throughout the year. But this is the only time that we do a nighttime tour. And so Night of Mystery is about giving people a different type of experience.
Yes.
Right? And we take all the archive materials, so the content is factual.
Right.
It's just that we give it to a theater company and they script it in a way that it feels like a play. And so,
That
yes,
you are actually a part of.
correct.
You're on stage.
Correct.
Yes.
So here we have an experience that's tactile, meaning we want people to come into the space, to sit in the seats, to see the chamber, and understand the role of the Assembly Legislature as the seat of democracy on the island. But in order to do that, you have to actually get people there first. So it's about engagement and education. And to do that, we've decided that a tour at night, our Night of Mystery, and this year the theme is the Addams Family Edition.
Okay, now let's do a little backstory here. There we are. Explore 200 years of Tobago's legislative history. Now, the tours happen. You've got tours happening every day.
Normally, during the day, we have tours
Right.
all day. We even tailor them to suit the particular group, whether it's the content or the size, even in terms of the time. 20 minutes, an hour and a half, our team will construct the content to suit your needs.
Okay, so this happens during the year. But now we're looking at a special activity, a special tour for this Easter period. Why?
Initially, we thought, you know, it would be a good idea to give adults an opportunity to have these tours. During the day, you're at work.
Right.
And sometimes, yes, if you're a teacher and it's a special event, a learning, teachable moment, whatever you want to call it, you have an excuse to come to the legislature during the day.
Right.
And what we found was we needed to get more adults into the space. So we have plenary sittings that we are held every fourth Thursday of the month, except during the recess period in July, August, at 1:30 p.m. So a lot of people tune in online. But to actually come into the chamber, we don't have that experience with a lot of adults because they're at work. So we were like, okay, what do we do to get people into the space so that they can become familiar with it? So it really was designed to give adults an opportunity to have a good time.
But
The first year, we were like, okay, let's try this. Maybe 50 people will show up, maybe 75, and 200 people came the first year. And we're like, okay, so clearly this is something that
the
people
way to go, yes.
enjoy. And so we kept going. And so what we do is that we work with our library. We have a members library and information center, which is the only special library under NALIS with information about Tobago's legislative history, and in particular, our Hansard records. So the information is factual. It's taken from our library and other sources, and it's given to the theater company, and we're using the theater company. The creative director is Alma Gordon-Holder.
Now, is this library accessible to the public?
It is. Now, note that special libraries, they're a little different. You can't go in and just simply pick up a book and take it with you. But we have a lot of researchers, whether they're lecturers or students doing research papers, who would normally come in to do research. But it doesn't mean like a secondary school student can't come in and do some reading or ask for information for a particular project. And I think we have a huge problem where access to Tobago-centric content is concerned.
I love how you said that, Tobago-centric, which means solely Tobago.
Correct. It's important to remember that when we talk about Trinidad and Tobago, we're talking about 3 types of histories. We have the history of Tobago, we have the history of Trinidad, and then we have the history of Trinidad and Tobago. So when we talk about exploring 200 years of legislative history on the island, we're talking about the history of Tobago and by extension the country. Tobago has the oldest legislature in the country, and our building is older than the Red House. So there is a lot of content there to explore, and we really want people to come and enjoy that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So tell us when all of this is happening.
This Thursday, which is the night before the holiday, so that's Thursday, the 6th of April. The first tour starts at 7 p.m., assemble in James Park, and we'll take it from there.
Sorry. All right, so that's happening here this
Thursday.
Coming Thursday.
It's important to note that the last tour begins at 9
p.m.
The
last tour begins at 9.
Because I know that sometimes we've had people who, they come and it's the last tour and they probably get like the last bit of the last tour. So we want to make it, you know, just rest it on the table. If you're coming, the first tour is at 7, the last tour is at 9 p.m. So assemble in James Park, you and your whole family. And that's why, by the way, the theme is the Adams Family Edition. We wanted to choose something that would give you that spooky feel, but also to give you the idea that we want you to come up with everybody. Youth clubs, families, you and your crew, come and just enjoy yourself.
Now, I'm looking at the flyer. The flyer suggests spooky. It does. So I'm saying here, if you know, if you don't know a heart no good, if your heart is not good, I'm saying here, on the side of caution. I'm just saying.
Don't scare them.
I'm not scaring. The flyer did it. The flyer did it. All right, so it's happening, and I'm calling on Tobago. This is an opportunity, and for those of you visiting the island, this is going to be a pretty exciting moment. So I'm saying here, you know, pack your crew, pack your crew. I would advise you to interlock arms as you walk through, or hold the hand of someone that you trust, really trust, as you go through. Sophia seems to be enjoying this, and I feel as though there's more afoot, more happening in the background that we do not know about. But if you're into mystery and the spooky feel, this is going to be your event. Is there a cost attached?
It's absolutely free. What we encourage people to do is go on the website, our social media pages. There is an Eventbrite link for you to register. It's important for us to manage our crowd, in terms of crowd control, and COVID is still here. We want to ensure that we put all the necessary checks and balances in place. So take the opportunity to go on our social media pages and register at Eventbrite. That doesn't mean if you decide that you're coming on the night and you haven't registered, still come, we'll help you sort that out.
All right, and I guess this is just to keep an idea of the number of persons who will be coming through.
Correct.
All right, so remember, viewers, it is the night of mystery tour. I feel almost as though I'm back in Sesame Street. All right, so Sophia, thank you so much. Remind us again of how persons can register.
Right, so go on our social media pages. That's the Tobago House of Assembly Legislature. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. There is a link that will take you to the Eventbrite page for our event. Book your space. Tour starts at 7 p.m. Thursday, the 6th of April, assemble at James Park.
So the first tour is at 7.
The first tour is at 7. The last tour begins at 9 p.m.
At 9 p.m. I just smile. Thank you so much, Sophia, for being with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us for this. So you've got to come out to that night of mystery tour happening at the Assembly Legislature, and that's Thursday night. First tour 7, last tour begins at 9. You know what that means? It's going to take you into midnight. All right, so thank you so much. And make it a family affair. Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us for this segment, viewers. We've got lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates morning show. So share the live, share the live, share the live.
It's time to go. Sweet like
Tobago, here's the real deal. Nothing sweeter than when your internet fast all day, every day. I telling you, it's real nice when your home internet and TV package fit your budget. Well, if that's what you want, you're safe with Digicel Plus. Sign up or switch to Digicel Plus now and pay $0 for 1 month. Plus, plans start as low as $199 and you get installed for free. Visit digiceltt.com or a Digicel store now.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates morning show. We are switching gears at this time, viewers, as we concentrate a little bit more on the Tobago Jazz Festival 2023. Our guest this morning online with us is Mr. Tony Paul, a jazz musician, and it's one-on-one with Tony Paul. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I'm not sure if we're hearing you clearly here.
Hi. You hear me
Yes,
now?
I'm getting you loud and clear. All right, so Tony Paul, let's get a little bit into the background of Tony Paul. Who is Tony Paul and how did you start into music?
Well, the given name is Anthony Woodruff Jr. So my dad is well.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, the given name is Anthony Woodruff Jr. My dad is a musician as well. So that's kind of where the Tony Paul developed out of, because having two Anthony Woodruffs in music, and there were actually three. I had an uncle who was also Anthony Woodruff, Tony, who played with like various bands and stuff. So Tony Paul developed out of wanting to create a separate space for myself as a musician. So I actually got started in music when I was pretty young. Started off singing in choirs in primary school. And after that, going into secondary school, my dad started teaching me recorder. And then I joined the Cadet Force band and started playing saxophone. And from there, I just continued in music pretty much.
All right. It seems as though your family really loves this Tony Anthony name. And this name I think is going to continue from the sound of it. It should be continuing here. And I hope you have. No, it's not going to.
No, I have 3 sons, and none of them are named Anthony.
No Anthony Paul, no Anthony, no juniors, none.
No.
Well, you know what?
No.
There's still time. Anyway, there's still time. So, and I'm hoping here that you've got your instrument on the side, that you're going to be giving us a little taste of something this morning. Hoping that you can just reach across and grab it, or you can ask one of your sons to pass it.
It'll take like a second.
Okay, cool, no problem. We expect that before the interview ends. And so you said you started off pretty early in music, but what has kept you, who are those musicians that you've looked up to, apart from your father, of course, and probably your uncle? Who are some of those musicians that you would have listened to, who would have inspired you over the years?
Well, I'd say I'm pretty fortunate that when I started in music, I met people like Clive Zander, who's like one of the, main people that created Kaiser Jazz, and also Dr. Ray Holman. I played with him when I was probably in my late teens. So having musicians like those encourage, as a young musician, getting encouraged by people who are icons in the industry, it really helps motivate you and move you forward. Since then, I've worked with Ella Andel, I've worked with people like Bonnet Bigford, Alan Parley, and I mean, just like a lot of different musicians. I think I'm pretty well known in the musical circles in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think it really boils down to community and just acceptance and encouraging young musicians to develop their craft. And I think that that's probably the most important thing for any arts community, that there's continuity and the more seasoned practitioners, offer advice and support for younger creatives.
All right. Now, let me ask you very quickly here. Do any of your sons play an instrument? Are any of them into jazz?
My eldest son plays piano. He actually takes piano lessons, not with me because I play saxophone. But yeah, he's into music, but he has other passions and other pursuits. So I'm not forcing it on him. If he gets into it, then great. But I think each child has their own path that they kind of figure out on as they grow and they have different experiences. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great if he got into jazz and was doing that. But I'd be happy with whatever he decides.
All right. Now, over the years that you've been playing, what would you say was that memorable moment for you, playing for, and who would it be? Who would you have played with, for, that stands out in your mind?
Well, I'd say most definitely, because I've been around for quite a while. I did my undergrad and finished in 2009, and then I came back home. So I've been playing on various festivals in Trinidad with other people. I'd say in 2014, when I first got the call to come to Tobago to play as a featured act, and I opened for Earth, Wind and Fire, that year was like a really great year for me, because shortly after doing that festival, I got the opportunity to go to New York and play in Carnegie Hall on a workshop that was led by Paquito de Rivera, who's iconic in Latin jazz. So 2014, both of those experiences, first of all, being a featured act on international festival like the Tobago Experience, and then also getting the opportunity to play in Carnegie Hall, which is most people that know anything about music have heard the name Carnegie Hall as one of the legendary venues in New York City. So I think those two kind of resonate with me as some of my most valued musical memories.
And now you are one of the cast members for the Tobago Jazz Experience 2023. Tell us what are you particularly looking forward to? And let me just share very quickly here with you. Ingrid Boynes is on the live, and she says, Tony Paul, fantabulous jazz artist, great choice. Lynette Sophia Louis says, hi, Tony. Great seeing you. So what are you looking forward to for 2023 for the Tobago Jazz Experience?
Well, I think I'm really hoping that people enjoy the set and they recognize some of the songs that we play. And I think generally Tobago Jazz, it really is an experience. It's about being in Tobago, having the best of what Tobago has to offer, and also experiencing the festival itself. So for me, I want to make sure that my set is really effective and that people can do some dancing, they can enjoy what's happening on stage, and hopefully the energy on stage is one that lets people know that, you know, I'm not just playing, I'm actually having a good time myself, as I usually do. But I think being a large stage, it sometimes it feels a little bit daunting because of the size, but I have a really, really great band with me, so it means that I'd have that support to really just kind of focus on doing a great job.
Okay, now Christine Jack is on the live, and Christine Jack says, Tony is just wonderful, and his wife is gorgeous. Just Christine, okay, Christine, thank you. As well, when we're talking about, you know, the Tobago Jazz Experience, and we talk about young and upcoming, you said you play the saxophone?
Yeah, I play saxophone.
What is one piece of advice that you'd like to give to young musicians? You know, a lot of musicians look at the other great Tony Pauls, and they think, wow, sounds good, great set, but they never take into consideration the work and the sacrifice that would have gone into an excellent performance. What is one piece of advice that you'd like to give to the young and upcoming musicians?
I would say prepare for the job that you want. So if your desire is, for example, to play on the Tobago Jazz stage, then think of what it requires and then put in the required work. If you just want to do some hotel gigs, then think of what you need to be able to do for that. Whatever job it is that you actually want, then do the work, because everything has its own specific kind of finish and requirements. So if I were playing for a festival and they want more smooth jazz, but I'm only focusing on learning traditional jazz, then I'm doing the wrong thing. Not that traditional jazz is bad, but it's not going to get me the gig that I want. If I want to play more traditional jazz and probably move to New York, then learning a whole lot of popular tunes and stuff, it's not really gonna get me to where I need to go. So I'd say prepare for the job you want and do the required work. That's it.
That's it. Now I'm really hoping that by this time there, Tony Paul, that you've got your hand on your sax. Yes.
Like I said, I need 1 second. It's like literally right behind me.
Are we giving you that 1 sec? Yeah, giving you that 1 sec, because we are not going to end this interview without giving our viewers a sample of what you have got to offer. Persons are coming out later on in April for the Tobago Jazz Experience 2023. And, of course, certainly we want to hear of what you've got to offer on the table. So we're looking forward to that as well. And the Tony Paul is just one among some of the great artists that will be performing this year. And so over to you. Over to you, Tony Paul. I'm just going to rock back right here and hand over to you. Go ahead.
A little bit unprepared, but you know.
That was beautiful. But Tony, there is a special request on the live from Lynette Sophia Louis, who is saying, play just the two of us. This is a special request, and I want to grant it to Lynette Louis. I wish I could shout. Can I shout? Do I have permission to shout? That was beautiful. And that's just a sample, viewers, of what you can expect for this year's 2023 Tobago Jazz Experience. Tony, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Lynette seems very overjoyed. She said, yes. Oh my gosh, Tony Paul, you're just the bestest. That's her term. Thank you so much. Love it. Love it. Christine Jack says, well, if this unprepared, imagine in the show. All right. So that's why they've got to come on out, yeah?
For sure, for sure.
Definite. So as we close this morning, Tony, you've got to tell our viewers this morning why they need to be there. So you got just about 10 seconds. Go.
Well, I mean, apart from me, the cast is like really amazing. Hello, Boys to Men, like Fauna Bigfoot, Darren Shaw, Sharon Phillips from Tobago, who is like absolutely a powerhouse. Like all of the acts for like all the shows, I really must congratulate the festivals, Tobago Festivals office, because they've done a really fantastic job. And I think whether you go to my night or any of the others, I think you're in for a really fantastic time. And come on, Tobago is just gorgeous. So, you know, why not just enjoy it?
That's it. An excellent note to end on. So we want to thank you again. Thank you so much for even giving in to our request to play. Thank you so much. As unprepared as you say that you were, We didn't hear it though. But as you said that you were, we're going to leave it there. But thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. And have a great morning, everyone.
Have a great one. And say hello to your wife and your 3 boys for us.
I will.
All right, take care then. Thank you so much. Viewers, that's just about it. Lynette, Louis, we trust that you made your, we trust that we made your day at least a little bit better than it may have started off this morning. Viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Trust that you enjoy your day. We've got our Youth Wednesdays coming up tomorrow, and then we're going to be back with you on Thursday. But right now, we've got GMT coming up with Chanel Felix. You do not want to miss it. An interesting program lineup. So we say to you, have a great day, stay safe, and we're going to head on over at this point into Tobago in Focus. Bye-bye, everybody.
The house is like 2 bedrooms, a toilet, the room, kitchen. The size is like 11 by 10, bathroom like normal concept. Have a living room, full dining room here. I say completion of this building, so it will be about 2 weeks then max. We're doing a cladding on the outside, the inside is a fire rating board, gypsum ceiling, right? And well, normal tiles and stuff on the ground.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. To them once again, they better look out below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look out below, 'cause this is your show.
Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported. Tobago, come let we go, come till you know, come find yourself.
will never be better. With Tobago, carnival fever. Walk your passage and come on over. Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates, guys. This morning, we are having some excellent conversations like we always do here on GMT. And you know, when you see me here, it's because we're having those conversations that you want to have and asking those questions that you want to know. And as I said, this morning is like no other, and we're going to be diving into some really interesting conversation. This morning, to start off our discussions, I have the privilege of sitting with me today the president of the National Joint Action Committee, who would be joining us virtually, and that is Mr. Mbao Muhini. And as well in studio, I have Mr. Upuku Wari, who is a former member of the National Joint Action Committee. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good.
I look forward to your colleague joining us online, so he should be with us shortly. It's very interesting because this morning you're here and we're talking about the 1970 movement. And for those people who are not really sure about what the 1970 movement is, that was the Black Power movement in Trinidad and Tobago that happened at the time. And although we often overlook the activities that took place in Tobago, it indeed was a countrywide activity that happened on both islands. Now, we had a number of young persons that came out in their thousands that came out and demonstrated on the streets of Port of Spain and Scarborough in Tobago during this time. And this morning, we're going to talk a bit about that. And Mr. Upuku Wari, who is one of the former members, is going to be here to explore that a bit with us.
Well, it's good to be here because this period of the year, Mohini join us, huh?
I see him there. I see we have your colleague there.
All right, good. Let Mohini start off now.
Mr. Muhini, can you hear us?
Are you hearing me?
Hear you very clearly. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Mr. Upuku Wari, who's your colleague here. He said, go ahead and let you start off the interview.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
It's nice to have you here.
As Upuku said, yes, thank you. And good morning to the viewers. As Upuku said, this is a significant period in that the focal point of the demonstrations and the movement and the transformation would have been between the 26th of February and the 21st of April. So it is indeed a significant period. However, what I wanted to get across as well is the fact that we are having an international conference which was actually scheduled for the 20th and the 21st of April 2020 until we were bowled googly by the COVID. So that conference is now coming up on the same 20th and 21st, but this time in 2023. And we still refer to it as a 50th anniversary because that is what it was all about. We were only able to host one event that year, which was on the 26th of February. And after that, COVID sort of put everything else on the back burner. So we are having this event on the 20th and the 21st of April. It's being held at the Daga Auditorium at the University of the West Indies, which incidentally is a very spot where NJAC was formed in 1969, because at that time most of the leaders were actually students of the university. So we are going back to that spot on the 20th and the 21st of April, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days of that conference.
Okay, and so with this conference, the conference is going on from the 20th to the 21st. And what can we look forward to seeing happening at this conference? What type of conversations are we looking forward to? who is invited? What can the public really expect when coming to this conference for the 50th anniversary?
Okay, well, you are invited along with the public. However, by tomorrow, when we have our next meeting, after the meeting, however, when we work out the link, we're going to send the link out, so we make it public, and we hope it will be on updates as well, so that people could register online. Those who are going to be actually
Mohini, he went out a bit there. So he's saying that he will send the link.
Virtual. Unfortunately, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Went out a bit. So you are saying that a part of the conference would be held virtually so that individuals can join online?
Yes, because the Daga Auditorium could only host 450 persons. As a matter of fact, we are pursuing with the Ministry of Education as well as the Division of Education in Tobago to have, even if it is a few students present at the event, so they could get it live, and we hope that it could be conveyed to other students, simply because 1970 is a period that transformed Trinidad and Tobago. The consciousness swept up the Caribbean. There was a Caribbean there's a Caribbean Liberation Steering Committee, had representation from Guyana, Barbados, Grenada, Dominica. As a matter of fact, the Roosevelt Douglas, who became Prime Minister of Dominica, was on that committee, as well as Maurice Bishop and a number of. It was a movement, and Tobago benefited largely from it, as well as Trinidad and Tobago. And our call at this point, we need all hands on deck, because we all benefited from that great movement of 1970.
All right,
we could hear from
right, and Mr. Opokuwari, what we want to know is, how functional is the party NJAC at this time?
Well, Mohini will speak about that part.
Okay.
But what I would say, my voice is not too good this morning, but what I would say is that 1970 represented the greatest political event in Trinidad and Tobago since the uprising by Butler in 1937. Trinidad and Tobago and the entire Caribbean, the politics was transformed by the movement of 1970. What we had in 1970 was a surge, a massive surge in the consciousness and understanding among African and Indian people about where they were at and where they have to go. Because at that time, Trinidad and Tobago was the people, the masses, were under total exploitation and oppression, not only from the government, but most of the institutions. For example, the entire economy was most of the economy was in foreign hands. Oil, sugar, most of the lands in Tobago were owned by foreigners. Banking, insurance, all that were in the hands of foreigners. People had to leave this country to get employment. There was no employment for young people. There was a period in Tobago where the roads were not fit for donkeys to travel on. The education system was in shambles. You had about 1 or 2 secondary schools. Then you had, for example, in terms of the social services, water was places like Bethel, Patience Hill, Mason Hall, they had all problems with water. So, and there was no hope for the people. And this was 8 years after independence from the British. So the people, when Makandal Daga arrived here, it was easy to mobilize the people. But before 1970, there was activity happening in Tobago. You had people like Baylis Frederick, who was a lawyer, who was carrying on, because at that time they didn't want, you couldn't bathe on certain beaches, places like Pigeon Point, Bacalet, all up in Speyside. They didn't want the people Tobagonians to be mixing with the tourists and so on. So we had that kind of protest. Baylis Frederick led that protest. You had people like Dupoy Ewing, who was a trade unionist and who was an activist. You had And then after that, the important thing with Tobago is that a guy called Tony McFarlane, came back from Canada. He was in the university at Sir George Williams, came back to Tobago, and he started to educate the brothers and sisters around the blocks in Tobago about the importance of African people getting together, knowing themselves. Because, you know, in those days, it was a crime to be a black. Because you're black and ugly, you're black and stupid, you know. So that we needed to raise the level of understanding among our people so that we could be able to move forward as a conscious people to achieve beautiful things and open up opportunities. So today we could have African people owning this program here. We could have you as an African sister sitting down here. That was not possible before 1970.
Understood.
Only white people work in the banks in 1970, right then.
Excellent. And thank you so much for giving us that historical context of what really would have triggered that 1970 Black Power movement. And Mr. Muhini, what we want to find out is, do you see any similarities in some of the struggles that were faced then to what we're seeing happening now in Trinidad and Tobago? And although then the movement would have been so revolutionary, what type of similar movements can you see happening in today's society that might be I should say a bit less, how can we phrase it, a bit less radical than what we would have seen in 1970?
I think we need something more radical. But the point I would make, you are talking about comparing then and now, this and that. It is one struggle, because I was there in 1970. I remember when the chief servant, McCandle Dagger, then Geddes Granger, landed in the Scarborough car park on the 3rd of April. And in keeping with, continuing from where Brother Puku left off, I remember him saying that our people have to stop the crouching of the shoulders and stand tall and proud as a people. So that pride was being re-established. And 1970 was such a fantastic movement, as Brother Opoku stated, because the demonstrations only lasted from the 26th of February to the 21st of April. And within that time span, you could hear people begin to talk about the new consciousness. People were now becoming more conscious of themselves, of their heritage, of their culture, beginning to develop a new African pride. There was the question of national unity, because there was a demonstration from the Woodford Square down to Caroni, down to Chaguanas, and down to Couva. And in that entire demonstration, it is estimated that about 40,000 persons took part to unite the Africans and the Indians. And that unity was being cemented. It was being cemented. It was achieved. African brothers who couldn't make their way back to Port of Spain that night were housed in their hundreds. The community in Couva just opened their doors to total strangers. This is the love and the togetherness. The principle was, be a brother, be a sister. Honor the old, respect and elevate the woman. And our young persons and our nation were accepting these principles and taking it into their lives, so much so that I could recall within communities, persons who had loggerheads with each other buried the hatchet and began to say, well, listen, if the movement is about love and togetherness, let us put our differences aside. Let us put our enmity aside. This is where Tobago and Trinidad was heading. And I should state as well that the nation recorded the lowest, or not the lowest, the highest reduction in the level of crime. In 1970, crime went down by 56%. Not even that convinced our leaders to adopt a different attitude to the movement. No, we were fighting against a colonial system which had extended itself into a so-called democratic nation, democratic and independent nation, so that the movement was fighting to as Bolopuku said, control the commanding heights of the economy. In Tobago, for instance, in 1970, over 70% of the best land was in the hand of either foreigners or a local white elite. And in 1970, because of the mass demonstrations and the demands of the people, the government was forced to buy out 13 of those major estates to bring it back into the hands of our people. In 1970, there was no local bank. All the commercial banks were owned by foreigners. And yet, the demands again, overnight, the then Prime Minister Williams was forced to buy out the Bank of London and Montreal and set up National Commercial Bank, which eventually merged with Workers' Bank and the so-called Penny Bank to form First Citizens, so that NJAC and the masses, because the masses cannot be forgotten in terms of their heroic actions, pounding the streets of this country for 55 days and calling for a new and just society that was largely responsible. For instance, when the chief servant landed in Scarborough and he said he wanted 100% increase in the wages and salaries for store workers, it wasn't just Macandal Daga speaking. He had thousands of people gathering in the car park, demonstrating to Pigeon Point. As a matter of fact, today is the anniversary of that demonstration, down to Mount Irving, down to Pigeon Point, as well as by boat to the Buku Reef, to reclaim our heritage, to reclaim the rights, and to give our people economic liberation and justice.
Question. So the event that you guys are having at the Macandal Daga Auditorium at the University of the West Indies from the 20th to the 21st, what is the overall aim of that event? Is it just to pay respect to the 1970 movement? What exactly are you guys trying to get out of that event?
It is most of all, yes, to pay respect, but beyond that, it is to begin to enlighten the population, because our young students are writing CXC. Good. It is NJAC that said the Caribbean must have its own examination. When I was in school, there was no CXC. We had to wait on London and Cambridge, University of London, University of Cambridge, for the GCE, for them to send papers, for us to write about an environment in which we were not living in, of which we knew little. So that CXC was established in 1972, okay? And our young students need to know that. Our population, the parents need to know that. They need to know that when they go and they get their NIS benefits, it is NJAC that said in 1970 that any government that cannot insure its own people does not deserve to exist, okay? So it is more than just paying respects. Yes, 50 years, yes, we are paying respects, but more than that, our people need to understand that had it not been for 1970, we were not going to enjoy the oil boom, because in 1970, 96% of the oil revenue was leaving our country. And this is why NJAC stood up with the masses and said, we don't want crumbs, we want the whole bread, right? The Republican Constitution would not have come into being. When was that set up? The commission was set up in 1971, 1 year after 1970, the Hugh Woodin Constitution Commission, giving us, after 5 years, by 1976, we now had our own Republican Constitution with our own president, not having to wait on the Queen of England or the King as we have now, who would have been our head of state. So 1970 transformed governance, it transformed the economy, right? It gave birth to the public sector, because in 1970, only 3.8% of the national population involved in business were Africans. Only 4% were Indians. 1970 opened the doors for our people to get involved in business. As a matter of fact, what we were told during that period before 1970 is that black people can't run business. This was the stigma. And all of that was transformed with our people. Point Lisas could not have been a reality had it not been for 1970. The then Prime Minister was, when he went to the conference in Lima, was negotiating to sell out the few corporate bodies that were under the ownership of the government, which at that time was only 8, right? A few years after 1970, it grew and it grew and it grew until it reached something like 60, 67 such institutions, okay? All the banks in this country were mandated to localize. And when I say localize, 51% minimum ownership.
Okay, and it seems like we're having a technical difficulties there with Mr. Mohini. So we're going to wrap up this interview this morning, and before we go, Mr. Opoku-Wari, is there any academic sources that has been created? Are you back with us, Mr. Mohini? You went out a bit.
Okay, I would just want to give an idea of some of the presenters at the conference. You have, for instance, a principal and pro-vice chancellor, Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine. You have Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon. You have Professor Hamid Ghani, Dr. Patrick Watson, Brother Enyahuma Obika. You have myself. You have Kafa Kambon, who was there in 70s, Sister Lizelle Daga, Aigo Ome, Brother Opoku-Wari himself, Augustus Ramreka Singh, Olabisi Kuboni, Clyde Nunez, Ferdy Ferreira, and you also have the present director of Salises, who we are doing this conference jointly with Salises and the Caribbean Historical Society. That is Dr. Godfrey St. Bernard. So that is just an idea, because we have researchers, you have persons who were there, you have persons who made that march to Charlottesville, like Raviji, who is a well-known name in this country, who are going to be speaking at that conference as well. So it's going to be information. We're going to have documentation of it afterwards. The idea is to get this information out, because until our youths understand that it is their mothers and fathers and grandparents who created this great, powerful movement to transform Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, they are not going to understand their true value, and they are not going to be able to achieve, and the elders would continue to be saying that the youths have gone astray.
Thank you so much. And again, we want to thank you, Mr. Mohini, as well as Mr. Opoku-Wari, who's in the studio here with us this morning, for inviting Tobagonians to come out on the 20th and the 21st of April to the Makanda Daga Auditorium at the University of the West Indies to participate in this conference. And as you said, the link would be shared. So for persons who are not able to attend in person, you would be able to get that link. You would be able to watch it online. And guys, we want to participate and understand the importance that these events have played on today's society. So guys, we're going to go for a quick break, and we'll be back with much more conversation.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor.
Tobago, it's time to go. Sweet like
Tobago, here's the real deal. Nothing sweeter than when your internet fast all day, every day. I telling you, it's real nice when your home internet and TV package fit your budget. Well, if that's what you want, you're safe with Digicel Plus. Sign up or switch to Digicel Plus now and pay $0 for 1 month. Plus, plans start as low as $199 and you get installed for free. Visit digiceltt.com or a Digicel store now.
Tobago is Easter, so join us. Call Thorns Place 745-7306 or 682-8676 and book your stay now. Rooms as low as 200 TT. Message us on WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. Just a 5-minute drive from the Scarborough Port. Tobago is Easter, so join us.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Tapicom. Welcome to the future. The only card you will need in a new world. Digital business cards. Safe, hassle-free. The future is here. Tapicom. New generation digital transfer. Digital time clock cards. Digital attendance cards. Air tags. Customized designs. Digital clothing tags. Digital pet tags. Tapicom. The future is here. Contact us today.
Anonymously 800-8477. Report possible border crime.
Welcome to L'Image Parfait Day Spa, your urban oasis and wellness center. Our services includes massages, treatments, facials, pedicures, weight management, detox programs, and much more. Call us today at 624-1452 or 720-7474. Trinidad locations and Bonacore, Tobago at 273-7772. Let us treat you like the VIP you are.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice car get damaged bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard, I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Full Disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates. Real questions and honest conversations with the sole aim of keeping you fully in the know. Full Disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
We party till we drop down there with a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and
And welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. And guys, we continue and we get straight into the conversation. And if you're a fish lover or just a fish buyer here on the island of Tobago, you might be wondering, how come fish prices have gotten so high of recent? And today we have the president of the Tobago Fisher Folk Association, Mr. Curtis Douglas, who's going to be talking to us a bit about why we've been seeing that spike in the price of fish. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Good morning, and good morning to the listening audience and the following audience in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Douglas. Again, thank you for joining us as always. It's unfortunate that you couldn't join us here in the studio this morning, but regardless, you still made the time to sit down and chat with us, so we appreciate it. Now, we have persons who own restaurants, and just other things that continue to buy fish on a regular basis. And a lot of times they buy it at the wholesale price. They buy it in bulk. And they are really the ones, along with persons who just pass by and buy fish for their everyday consumption, that are really feeling the pinch with the rising prices for fish right now. Tell us a bit about, help us to understand why we're seeing this price rise.
Well, first the beginning, in Easter, most time in Easter, fish prices go up, but we haven't seen it go up like this for the longest while in Tobago. Trinidad have a tendency when it's Easter to higher the prices because of the amount of catches, especially in the carried sector in Trinidad. But over the last 2 years, after the last budget, we would have seen a spike in the gas price. So, when you raise gas, obviously everything goes up. And fishermen basically concentrate his profit based on gas because we use gas to go, because we use pirogues in Tobago. 99% of the fisher folks in Tobago use pirogues. So, whereby we used to use, let's say, a $700 worth in gas now, we use something like $2,000 worth in gas now to go to catch a fish. And we're talking about, now we have to go further. We're talking like 35 miles, let's say from Plymouth. So from Plymouth to 35 miles off, that's close, to Grenada and all of these places. So we have to go further. And all this is taking place because of many different things. High gas price and gas activities, oil and gas activities in the waters of Tobago. And thirdly, we are also seeing the increase in Bajan fishing boats that is harboring or storing, they're pulling the flying fish that deep. So we have to go that deep to catch them, because here how it works in Tobago, we have what you call the plantains. The plankton is the one that comes down from the Orinoco River, come down. And after the plankton, we get the flying fish that feeds on the planktons and also lay. So when the Bajans and them with their mother boats, as they call it, the overnight boats, right, the big ice boats, and they come and they start to give the fish, the flying fish, lice. So if you pull the flying fish, obviously you will be pulling all the rest of fish, which is the kingfish, the dolphin, and the wahoo, and all of these other fishes, right? So now we have to go further. Now, I'm not sure, I do not want to speak out of timing, but I think the government of Trinidad and Tobago, which is the Prime Minister, would have given the Bajans like permission to fish in our waters, right? That's up to 5 miles from shore. So they have bigger capacity. So we're now competing with Bajans for our own revenues. And we most of the fishermen leave home in the morning and come back sometime in the evening and night. We don't have the big boats or the capacity to overnight and spend a week. And when we're talking about Bajan boats out there, we're talking about not 5 or 10. I'm talking about fleets of 20 and 25 and 30 fleets. And on top of that, we have the exploration and the surveys that the oil companies that are doing that are cutting away our fats as well. So it makes it triple difficult. So we're not only competing with people in our Caribbean society, we also competing with people who the government of Trinidad and Tobago give permission to come and explore and run the fish and also damage our fats. So when they damage all of that, fishermen have no chance, opportunity to even say, well, let's hear what we are catching enough so that no matter what we argument and we say, we could lower the price a bit. So we could go home, instead of going home with a $500, we could go home with a $400. We don't have the opportunity. And if you look around, you just drive around. Just drive around and see. There is a scarcity of fish, especially what we call the wahoo and the black-eye kingfish and dolphin. So it's really difficult on behalf of Tobago, because most time when people making decision, they do not consider Tobagonians. They just make a holistic or a broad brush decision and hope that one size will fit all. Trinidad is sitting comfortable. We as fisher folks in Tobago are struggling. Hence the reason why you're seeing fish prices $45 and $50. Some places you might go, you might lucky to get 35 or 40. You just drive down to Pigeon Point, drive to Lambo, you drive to Plymouth, drive to Palatavia and see. Just see. And all of this is happening because of all of these things that are occurring in our waters. Now, I know is one country, Trinidad and Tobago, but we have to be very peculiar when we make decisions that hurts the other party. So that is some of the stormy weather that we are going through, the tornado activities that is taking place, that making it difficult for us to even survive as entrepreneurs and as fishermen, as to say. So this is the
Mr.
reason why,
Douglas,
because
Mr. Douglas, you expressed that most of the issues that you think have been hindering the fishermen, well, that you know have been hindering the fishermen, are mostly decisions that were made at the central government level. But we do have a Department of Fisheries here on the island of Tobago. What do you recommend, or what are the Tobago fisher folk really expecting to get in relation to representation from this THA on this matter?
I don't know the level of authority that Tobago the THA has, but the THA have to work more closely and show more dedication to all Tobago fisher folk, which is ATFA. You see, ATFA have the knowledge and the experience, and we are living it each day, right? We are living it each day. What we expect from the THA was more collaboration and more harmony, working together and standing up. And don't afraid to speak and represent your people and demand that you have a say when decision is being made, whether it's 10 nautical miles, 5 nautical miles, or 15 miles. Tobagonians, once you're talking about in the waters or the perimeters of Tobago, we must have a say, especially fisher folk, the agriculturalists, especially the fisher folk, when dealing with decision of these type of nature that will affect the earnings and the ability to have a proper a consistent in your staple in your diet for the people of Tobago and by extension Trinidad. We expected for them to understand, one, you need to work with ATFA to listen to see how best we could capitalize on what you call the gas rebate, whether the THA will now be able to subsidize by some form of percentage to the fisher folks and have a MOU whereby we now start to build as a team together instead of working separate and independent. And two, we must now try to get ATFA, the members, on certain boards, which is the energy boards and stuff like that, so that we could now speak and represent the fisher folk. So when decision has been made to award contracts to oil companies or energy companies, we must be able to navigate them and guide them right so that they don't destroy the traditional fishing grounds and disturb the flow of fisher folks. But we must be able to work together. Without we have that present, the right people in the right places, we will always encounter that problem. And most of all, I think, in my opinion, in my lifetime in the fishing industry, Tobago need to fight for more autonomy to make more, that could be able to make more serious decisions to help the growth and the development of this island and the people that dwell in this island of Tobago.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Douglas. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And so you made it very clear, the call that you are placing on the THA to become more active in advocating on behalf of Tobagonians as well as the fisher folk and working closely with the All Tobago Fisher Folk Association. Thank you so much, and we look forward to having you again soon, whenever you wish. Our doors here at Tobago Updates, they are open to the All Tobago Fisher Folk Association. And we do understand the plight of the fishermen, and I guess we're going to be seeing the ripple effect of this when we go out to buy fish at the restaurants as well, the hotels as well, are going to see the effects of this rise in the fish prices. But before you go, let us know, is this something that it's going to just be seasonal, or can we see this being an ongoing thing for the rest of 2023?
It's ongoing because of what is taking place, the nature of it. Remember, we are doing migratory fish, right? I mean, that fish has traveled. I mean, that's come down from the head of Charlottesville and come down and go around Tobago. And we have to understand, when you damage the children of the nation, you damage the future of the nation. And when we have Bajans and they in our waters, don't get me wrong, it's CARICOM. But when we have Bajan people overfishing and killing all of our flying fish, what the dolphin and the kingfish and the barracudas, what they would feed on? Obviously, they would disappear. That mean they would be damaging the whole process of our fish stock. And it is also important for the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the THA to fight so that we have a fish stock assessment, so that we would know what we have in our waters now, and that would come through proper data collecting through the All Tobago Fisher Folk and the fishing community. There's so much thing we could do to help preserve and save, because we know we're talking about food safety in Tobago and the world, right? And we have to learn to start to look out for our own and do the right thing, right? So it is going to be continuous, because when you have oil companies come in, cutting away our fads, damaging our fishing ground without any proper consultation or direction to navigate through the waters of Tobago, these things would always happen. So we are trying to prevent that. So we are here to work with the relevant authorities so that we all can coexist, and also we could also maintain entrepreneurship where people could be their own bosses, which are fisher folks and others, and also to maintain that proper staple on the meals or the plate of the people of Tobago and beyond. Because make no mistake, we do also sell fish to Trinidad so that they buy. That's why they say sometimes when they come and they buy fish here in Tobago, they buy for $35, $40 and they go back and sell it for $50 and $55 a pound, which is the carrot and the wahoo. That's why we have orders of Trinidadians coming up and they ordering for the kingfish and the dolphin, right? So this is what we have to learn to preserve, because when the Bajans catches the flying fish, it is recorded as data in Barbados that is Barbados flying fish when it is not. It is Trinidad and Tobago, because it's one country, basically more so Tobago flying fish. And there is any data processing or activities to state that how much been extracted from the waters of Tobago. There's nothing like that. And these are things we need to set in place to help bring down the price and to also have a proper data to know what we have as fish stocks in our waters of Tobago.
Thank you so much, Mr. Douglas. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Well, guys, we are out of time for this interview with Mr. Curtis Douglas. And again, we thank the All Tobago Fisher Folk Association for joining us here on Good Morning Tobago. And as we wrap up this morning, I have with me online Miss Abini Taylor, who's the founder of the School for Foreign Language Tobago. And she will be hosting a very interesting event coming up this week, and that's called Balloons and Bubbly, the brunch event. Hi, good morning, Miss Taylor. How are you doing?
Hola, buenos días. Estoy muy bien. I am very good.
Thank you so much for joining us. So it's a pleasure to have you here on Tobago Updates. And so you are hosting Balloons and Bubbly, the brunch event this week. So tell us a bit about what we can look forward to and what is really the theme behind this event and what was the idea that came up behind having this brunch event this week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for having me. Balloons and Bubbly is actually a brunch event for preteens and teens. Most persons who know me know that I am a secondary school teacher, and I've realized every social event we have is either it's for the primary schoolers or adults. What about the preteens? They want to socialize too. They want to socialize around persons who are around their ages, etc. So I decided to host an event, and literally just came to me, name it Balloons and Bubbly, have it cool, have it cute, have it friendly for both males and females. And you know what? Carried on a little bit for the preteens. Preteens are those who are between 10 to 12, sorry. They may be like in standard 4, standard 5, and of course all the students who may be at secondary school. I want them to be able to socialize by having drinks, of course, mocktails and all those fancy stuff. Food. No, I wanted parents to send their children to a space that they know is going to be very safe, comfortable, because we do have security. Everyone who will be working for the event will be teachers. So, we know how to supervise and ensure that children do, or rather, teens and preteens do what they are to do. And we just want them to have fun in a very friendly and beautiful space.
Idea and concept is to target the preteens and teens and have them have a safe and fun environment this Easter. And so the event is being held on the 13th of April,
yes.
and that's right after Easter. That's Easter Thursday, actually.
Correct. Right before we open for school.
This is happening in Mount Pleasant on the main road at the Healing Garden.
Yes.
Excellent. And when we talk about brunch and bubbly, I mean, these are kids, so we're not going to put them out of the way. But what is the dress code going to be like? What can we expect the students or the kids to show up in?
Okay, so we wanted to have them the brunch look. Floral, Easter pastel colors, be modestly dressed. Because, it's all about teaching them how to deport themselves well as well. Eh? So the boys have your hair trimmed, be neat. We don't want to expense anyone, but just be modestly dressed, be appropriate. It's not a tie and shirt event, no. Not a bow tie and heels, no. Cute, nice, friendly, pastel, floral colors, stripe colors, whatever you need to do to just feel comfortable in our space. Very casual event, may I say.
And let's talk a little bit about the menu. What can we expect on the menu? Because we see that you have tickets that are available for $2.75 per kid, and you have a brunch menu. So what can we look forward to on that brunch menu?
Okay, so teen friendly menu: pizza, hot dogs, sandwiches, chow. It's so much because my friend, my dearest friend, who is Peckish868, she is the caterer for the event, and we know that she doesn't disappoint with regard to her very innovative menus and her very event appropriate menus, I should say. So she keep on telling me, I will handle it, I will handle it, I will tell you what I will do, but I'm going to do the rest. So it's very much foods that will actually be what children will be teens will be attracted to. No pilau, no rice, not like that. But quick finger foods. We have games, we have entertainment, etc.
Excellent. And what time does the event start and what time does it conclude?
It starts promptly at 4 p.m. and ends at 9.
Starts at 4 and ends at 9. Excellent. Well, we look forward to Balloons and Bubbly. And guys, if you know someone who knows someone, or you have a kid that is a preteen or a teenager who you think would be interested in going and have fun right after Easter, right before school reopens. And this is a call to students from all different schools on the island of Tobago to come socialize, have fun, meet new students, and just do what teens and preteens do at your age. And I think this is the first of this type of event to really happen on the island of Tobago. So this is something relatively new that we could look forward to. What are you really expecting to bring to this Tobago space with this event, Ms. Taylor? Space on the island.
Just to note that everyone is allowed. Yes, everyone is allowed, and there is a space for everyone to interact with persons outside of their schools in a different setting, because most times we interact with other persons through sport or different competitions, but this social event is geared towards doing that. And I should add that the entertainment that we have, the DJ live entertainment, they were actually my past students at the Bishop's High. King Byron, that's his name, and also Hassani Lewis. They were both students I would have taught between 1st to 5th form. And I should add that they got grade 2s in Spanish. I'm very proud of them. And I know that they're doing their business. So I would have brought them in. And when I see my past students also offering services, I tend to encourage them and also support their businesses. So yes, I think I should have had that there.
We can say that this Easter, there's something for the whole family. There's something for everybody. And one of those things is happening on the 13th of April. And that's Balloons and Bubbly. That's going to be held at the Healing Garden in Mount Pleasant on the main road. And I'm sure you guys would be easily able to access Abini Taylor on any of her social media platforms, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or the Foreign Language School on Facebook, where you could contact them directly and get all the information you need in regards to securing your tickets, letting her know how much kids you're going to be sending to the event. And as she said before, as a teacher, they are accustomed to supervising students this age, so you have no problem because security is going to be there. We're going to make sure that the students are operating in an age-friendly environment and that everything is going to be safe and fun. So guys, that's it for today. And thank you so much, Ms. Taylor, for coming on and expressing that Balloons and Bubbly is happening. And maybe this is something that we might be seeing evolving annually here on the island of Tobago as more events are geared towards including that teen and preteen audience. So guys, that's it for today, and we thank you so much for joining us here on Good Morning Tobago, right on Tobago Updates. Guys, we thank you for making us #1, and see you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.